Welcome back to the Sunny Stampin' Studio. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this fun card using Stampin' Up's Circle Circus stamp set and a variety of circle punches. Why don't we get started? First thing I'm going to do is create my card base. I'm going to need a piece of Whisper White cardstock that's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inch. You're then going to grab some creamy caramel classic ink and a wedge of stamping sponge. I'm going to pinch my stamping sponge at the end, and then I'm going to start off my paper and start sponging onto my card. I'm not applying much pressure as I'm doing this, and as you can see, I'm working in a circular motion. Again, always, every time I re-ink my sponge, I'm always starting off my card, so on my grid paper, and then onto my cardstock. And then that just gives it a very nice light color around the edges. Next thing you're going to need is the tree stamp from the Season of Friendship stamp set and chocolate chip classic ink. Now, because my stamp is bigger than my ink pad, I'm going to lay my stamp face up on my table before me and press my ink pad to my stamp. I find it gives me a lot more control, and I can see if my stamp is fully inked. So I'm now going to just visually center that on my cardstock and stamp. So I'm just going to apply some firm pressure, hold onto my cardstock, and lift away my stamp. Next thing you're going to need is your greeting, and I'm using a Grateful greeting, and this is from Stampin' Up's new Falling Leaf stamp set, and it's inked in chocolate chip classic ink, and I'm just stamping it at the bottom of the Whisper White cardstock. I'm now going to grab a piece of chocolate chip cardstock, and this is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I'm going to put some snail adhesive in the corners and in the center of the white piece, and I'm going to center and place it on my chocolate chip cardstock. Now, as you can see, I cut it so that it has a very fine border around it. I don't like too big of a border around my image mats. So I'm now going to use some snail adhesive to center and stick this to the front of a More Mustard card. And this was created by cutting a 4 1/4 by 11-inch piece of More Mustard cardstock and then folding it in half using a bone folder. So once you've got that centered, you can now set it aside. I'm now going to need some scraps of cardstock. I've got pumpkin pie, More Mustard, and ruby red. And I'm going to start with, actually, my More Mustard and my More Mustard classic ink pad. And I'm going to use stamps from the Circle Circus stamp set. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm just going to ink it up really well and stamp it onto my scrap. I'm going to stamp 2 of this image that you can see right here, and then I'm going to stamp 1 of this image. So that's for my More Mustard. For my pumpkin pie, I'm going to take this stamp and stamp a couple images. Now, it really doesn't matter which images you use. You pick what you like. What you just want to make sure is that you have an assortment of colors and shapes and patterns. So that is my pumpkin pie. So the last one I'm going to grab is my ruby red cardstock, and I'm going to need two of this big circle and 1 of that, and then this is a stamp that I stamped in pumpkin pie previously, and as you can see, I'm just stamping off the excess color and then just using that to stamp. I want to stamp on this paper. And normally I advocate cleaning your stamps in between stamping, but when you're going from a lighter to a darker color, as long as you clean off the ink, you can get away with it. So once you've stamped these, you now want to punch them out using your different punches. Now, I used my 1 3/8 inch circle punch, my 1 1/4 inch circle punch, my 1 inch circle punch, my 3/4 inch circle punch, and then my 1/2 inch circle punch. Now, just to save time, I'm not going to show you how I punched them out. Just suffice it to say that I wanted to make sure I had a good variety of circle sizes. Now, what I've done is I've gone ahead here and I've already put on the Stampin' Dimensionals on the back just to save myself some time. So you can see I'm bringing all my circles in. In some cases, what I did was I just punched portions of a circle. Like you could see in this one here, it's just the same as that pattern that I punched a section of. I'm going to grab my card now, and now we're just going to place the circles on the tree. Now normally, before I would actually start sticking them, I would position them just to see how I like it. But in this case, because I've already gone ahead and arranged it on my card, I'm just kind of following the pattern I used in the original card that I made. Now, as long as you can see I'm peeling off the Stampin' Dimensionals and positioning them on my card. As long as you don't push down very firmly on your piece with the Stampin' Dimensionals, you're still okay to shift them if you need to. As you can see, I'm trying as much as possible to position them so they look like they're at the ends of branches. So basically the effect that I was trying to capture was that of a tree going through the changing leaf colors. And it looks like I'm missing one pumpkin pie one, a 1/2 inch circle. So I'm just going to punch myself another one here. And I'm going to stick a Stampin' Dimensional to the back of that, and then go ahead and fill that in. So there you go. Now once you've got that part, you're going to need some buttons. Now I wanted to show you a technique which I call a faux thread technique. Rather than always digging out some thread to thread my buttons, I thread it with a sliver of cardstock so that it gives the impression of thread without actually having to use thread, take the time to do it. So you see I've got a sliver of cardstock, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in here for a sec so that you can see a little bit closer what I'm doing. So you can see the button there. At the front of the button, I'm taking one end of my sliver and feeding it, actually I'm feeding both ends, see, at the same time. You can see that. And I'm bringing the ends in the back and I'm holding them open. I'm now going to press my button to a glue dot, and I'm just going to snip the ends, and then as you can see I'm just folding the ends of the cardstock to the back of the button, like that. So now I'm just going to go ahead, I've already done that for the other buttons, and I'm just going to go ahead and apply them to my card front. And then this is done using mini glue dots. It really, as you can see, it really doesn't take a lot of time to do it, and it just finishes the buttons a lot more nicely, and it also keeps you from having to go out and buy a whole bunch of different colors of embroidery floss to create coordinating thread colors. So there you have it. See? What a fun and whimsical touch that adds. Now this one's sticking out too far, so I'm just going to slide it in, and there you go. See what a fun technique that is and what a fun card this is, and it's a fantastic way to use that Circle Circus stamp set. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I look forward to stamping with you again.